Good morning, everybody. It is my pleasure to be here. I have had an opportunity over the past few days to meet with so many clients, customers, colleagues, friends. Everyone in this room, it's a very large room, all share a passion for automation. I'm very passionate about technology, and I'm very excited to tell you my story. So let me jump right in here. As Brandon had alluded to, most people know us through our product lines. I'm not going to read a slide to you. If you're interested in knowing about Acushnet, there's the numbers. Across the board, a couple of just key metrics. We do manufacturing. We're a very large company. We're global. $3.6 billion. Our annual net sales last year were $2.2 billion. And we're roughly about 6,500 people. We're based out of Massachusetts, and we've had an extraordinary couple of years. Here's why. Everybody in this room is familiar with it. COVID, right? I was asked to talk about supply chain, and I'm sitting at the bar last night, and I'm having a conversation with a young woman I haven't spoken to in a long time, and I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to go off book today. I've got a message, and I want that message to resonate with you. So it's not about what's on the slides. I'd just like to be able to share my story because it is extraordinary. Let me bring you back. Point of trivia. Golf is the most patent-intensive sport. If you look across the board, Library of Congress, it has the largest portfolio of patents, and my company owns them. So with that said, when COVID hit, we had a big problem. We had a very big problem. We didn't have a magic pill. We had the same issues with supply chain disruption. We had labor shortages. We had all of the same things that happened. We went into COVID in a lockdown, but guess what happened? Everybody that was bored in the house bored. All of the social distancing, the recreation, instead of everybody heading for the exits and most businesses trying to find a way to address their demand, we had a different problem. Our demand accelerated. And as a result of that, we had to be very, very precise on what we wanted to do with our strategy. So in January of 2020, we had a pilot, half a dozen. I'm going to give a shout out to, in my opinion, the best partner of the industry, Lydonia Technologies, second Impact Award winning year. They were instrumental in helping us get started. And the reason I'm going to tell you that is because of this. If you look at the slide behind me, I have right now 183 automations in production in less than 2 years. It was not a one-man show. Picking the right partner and making sure that the right philosophy and attitude, which I'm going to jump into in just a second, is absolutely critical in getting the right momentum and passing the right message and getting your automation program off the ground. I was hired in September of 2020, and with that, I was industrializing, defining, institutionalizing, and rolling out a new COE to the company. They knew how to spell RPA, and that was about it. So how did this work? In February of 2021, I had the governance and everything rolled out, and we started moving into steady state. By the end of the year, we had more than doubled our estate. That trend has continued to compound to present day. Now, a question for the audience. If we're looking at industry standards, and you have a simple, medium, complex process, 6 to 8 weeks, 9 to 12 weeks, 13 weeks or more, these numbers, how big do you think my COE is? I've got 5 people. I want to say that again. I've got 5 people. I am at 200 at 5 people. And those laurels are fantastic, but it goes to show the potential that is there. If you use the right philosophy and methodology and approach, what you are actually able to achieve. Everyone in this audience understands what automation is, but there's 3 key points I want to emphasize here. First and foremost, philosophy, right? Automation emulates people. It is largely risk averse. So that being said, since we're using the same security context as a person, most organizations don't do this. They throw this as an IT capability, and it becomes the enabler. IT should be your partner. They are absolutely invested in your success, but at the same time, they are not the single point of failure. Number 2, every single business aspires to the same goals. They want to be able to hit the revenue acceleration, the cost reduction, and of course, they want to be able to make as much money as possible. We have in our command this particular tool that allows us to leverage all of that easily. Point number 3, our policy drives practice. Everybody that I've talked to over the recent days and over recent years all tend to have the same type of issue. And they have this tool, they want to be able to leverage it in a very impactful way, but how do they do it? Well, understand this. ROI is what drives everything. How exactly can you forecast your ROI if you have processes that aren't measured? And how can you measure processes that aren't tracked? And how can you track processes that aren't standardized? Whether you're in the beginning of your automation journey, or you're halfway through there, or you are just full steam ahead, you need to have a good understanding of how a program needs to work in a sense of being able to understand inputs, throughputs, and outputs. And all of that starts very simply with how we did things. On my side, like I said, we weren't exempted from supply chain. But what I was able to do were the areas that I was able to influence, and those particular things were very important to us. Because I couldn't change what was happening in the outside world, but I could change what was happening on the inside world. So we pivoted our strategy. Everything that I focused on was on our service delivery levels. We had internal problems we had to fix, so it didn't matter if we were sitting on top of a large amount of inventory. I couldn't put it out there because our delivery service levels were still low. I put an automation lens to absolutely every single process. And in doing that, we gained economies of scale. We ran a leaner enterprise in the middle of COVID, regardless of our cyclical demand consumption. Finally, use cases and modularization. I want everyone to think about every single process that you could possibly do. You've got configuration, initialization, testing, error handling, workflow management, correspondence, finalization. All these components have to be shared. So what do? I make automation like my own personal Lego set. Every automation in my estate gets the benefit of rapid acceleration to deployment because we reuse those common components and utilities. So in doing so, we were able to maximize and accelerate our delivery levels at the same time that we were also driving our own operational excellence and personal improvement. So, with that said, anyone that's interested in numbers, this is where we're at. I want to leave you with a final message. In a 2-year period, we have provided nearly 50 years worth of manual labor savings. If I'm going off a 2,000-hour FTE, based on the manual hours that I have saved across the organization, we have been able to hit an entire career's worth of hours for people. Now imagine being the individual that gets to benefit from that in any particular use case. It's about your people. Your people are not broken. It's your processes that would be broken. You focus on the process, not on the person. And you find those areas of the highest level of impact. These are the areas we worked on in COVID. And in doing this, what was happening on the outside world had less and less of an impact on us because we were already making some needed improvements internally. I love automation. That is my time. I would love to be able to continue this conversation. Anyone who's interested, please come and find me after the conference. I wish all of you safe travels on the way home.